So, time is of the essence, or is it? Time, time, time. Time to go. How much time do you have? What time does this talk end? Hey, let's get together another time. I think I'm going to meditate for a certain amount of time. I'll set my timer and meditate, etc. So, are we prisoners of time? Do we have to live by the boundaries of time to accomplish our goals or life duties? It's just something to ponder. I'm not saying I have the answer, but it's just something to consider. Just for a moment, close your eyes and imagine what your life would be like if you didn't have to live by the rules of time. I know some visuals come up, some thoughts, emotions come up right away, right? So I imagine that maybe some of you felt a sense of freedom, maybe some release of anxiety or tension, but perhaps maybe even feeling a little lost, like, how can I live my life without the boundaries of time? How will I know when to go to my appointments or eat my next meal or go to sleep or wake up? How will I know how to do these things? Well, our ancestors lived without the constraints of time, at least like we do in this modern day. There were no clocks way back when, but yet they accomplished all that needed to get done. They understood the rhythm of nature, and that was their clock, this rhythm of nature. They slept when the sun went down, woke up when the sun rose. Everything was accomplished because of their tuning in to this rhythm of nature. So, this way of life also helped them connect and tune in with the same rhythm within themselves. So that's another thing that I noticed when I am in that space, tuning into nature and the rhythm around me, that it also allows me to tune into my own inner rhythm. Perhaps choices were made then as to their own healing, and they were able to use plants and herbs around them to cure illnesses because they were tuned into that rhythm. They were listening to their own inner rhythm and listening to the rhythm and paying attention around them. So they recognized that connection of everything, that everything is one, everything is connected. We tend to think that we are separated from that, but that's not true. When we live only by the rules of time, we allow our awareness to focus on a beginning and an ending, on life and death. And so we hurry through our journey on this earth, separated from nature, separated from each other, because we feel the need to reach our goals within a certain period of time. Most importantly, there is a separation from our higher consciousness, from source. I feel that anxiety, depression, and loneliness that many are experiencing today is because of this separation from each other, and most importantly, from the truth of who they are and from nature. More important than living in the past or concerned about the future is to live and experience the richness of now, of the process of your life's journey. There is a joy that comes from being fully present. When you're fully present, time just disappears when you're in that now. Like when you're focused on doing something creative or gardening or looking at a sunset, listening to music. So, what thoughts come to mind when you hear the words one with nature or connect with nature? You might respond with something like, well, I walk and I hike with my friends for a certain amount of time. Or I love the trees and I love the animals. I connect with nature. Well, that is just the beginning of expanding your awareness and connecting to the frequency and that rhythm of nature and everything around us. However, I feel that walking the path of the shaman, which really simply means living your daily life connected to that rhythm and understanding of no time space. It takes you to a deeper level where you can truly experience the oneness of everything, where there's no beginning and no end. So we begin to live with presence. We find our purpose and we come to understand the sacredness in everything. I believe that we can all walk the path of the shaman. So something to consider, when I looked up what does it mean to be a shaman will ask two questions. What is my life purpose and who am I? So if you can ask yourself those two questions, you're a shaman. Okay, so back to reality. In today's world, if I asked you to get rid of anything that would tell you time, I think that your response might be, well, you're out of your mind. How would I survive? If you knew that experiencing life without our modern instruments that tell us time, that this would allow you to experience less stress, more peace, and a deeper connection to yourself, would you be willing to give up your clocks, your watches, all of those things that tell you time? Maybe just for a certain period, maybe just for a short period of time, to just do away with everything. So, having done this myself, this experiment, for a full week, allowed me to come back to my everyday life with a different perspective. We all depend on the clock, on time to live in our current world and have interaction with others for work, for school, for all our activities. Yes, I get it. We need to be able to tell time. But a few years ago, I went to the Monroe Institute in Virginia, and I spent a week there. And the very thing I noticed when I entered the building is that there were no clocks. And after a brief introduction, I was asked to leave my phone, my watch, and everything in a basket at the front desk. So I literally had a few moments of anxiousness and of panic. And I could tell that the person checking me in noticed that. And she said, "Don't worry." She took my hand and said, "Don't worry. If there's an emergency, we will assist you in connecting with family or anyone. If anyone calls, we'll let you know." So I was able to take a breath and just chill out for a minute. So going to the meals, gatherings, and all of that, I was really concerned about that. But it was late afternoon, and instead of trying to figure out the timing of everything, I finally sort of surrendered. And I just took a walk. It was beautiful property with a lake and trees, and it was a beautiful day. Everything was just this beautiful, deep green color. And so I looked up at the clouds in the sky, and I decided I'm just going to lay in the grass and just kind of look up at the sky and just forget about the clock and the watch and the phone and all of that stuff. And it was in that few moments of just laying there looking up at the sky that I drifted to I guess a meditative state, you could call it. And I started to feel that connection with everything around me. Not sure how long I was there, but I woke up feeling hungry and I started to walk back to the building. And then I noticed that all the other participants were doing the same thing. They were all walking towards the building to go into the cafeteria. As I walked in, the food was brought out and laid on a table. And this procedure went on for a whole week. Everyone would show up for the meals, they would show up for the meetings. Then we'd go into our little cubby holes, as I call them, and we would pretty much meditate for hours during the day. But we knew when it was time to eat, and we knew when it was time for our meetings. So I found I was able to attend everything without any problems at all. So this was such an amazing experience. And I realized that all of us, somewhere deep inside, we have the ability to tune into our own natural rhythm and the rhythm of nature. Do you guys believe that? Do you believe that you have the ability to tune into your own rhythm? And I speak for myself when I say this too, that I forget. I get caught up. I get caught up in that, oh, it's time for me to eat. It's time for me to do that. Well, your stomach will tell you when it's time to eat. Your body will tell you when it's time to do something. And if you really listen closely, your body will tell you why you're having a certain pain, and even perhaps guide you to something you might need to take for that pain or that illness. So I know it's there, I know it exists, but we live in a modern world where we do everything now by the clock, by time. However, all of society has become so dependent on time that our natural rhythm has been buried deep inside. And we eat, we sleep, and we perform all our activities not by this natural state, but by the man made rules of time. So, this is partly why so many of us deal with health issues pertaining to our eating habits, including myself, as I said. You know, our body has an intelligence and knows what it needs for its well being, but we no longer listen to that subtle voice because it's subtle, right? With all the noise going on around us, it's hard for us to hear those subtle voices. So we eat certain foods at certain times, and again, we live by the clock. So, do you think that this has separated us even more from ourselves and our natural world? I think so. What if you took maybe one day a week where you removed everything that reminded you of time? Just one day a week, and you woke up, you ate, and you perform your daily activities by just really listening to your intuition, by tuning into yourself. Maybe even a half a day to start, because I know it's a scary thing to say, one whole day, oh my God, I won't know what time it is to do this or that. So take a few hours and give this a try. Do you think you might create a deeper connection with yourself and with nature? Perhaps. I'm not saying that we have to go back to the way things were many years ago when, we depended on the moon and the sun and the seasons. But perhaps if we could free ourselves from the rules of time just once in a while, we might come to realize that we are more than just robots ruled by time. And that's how I feel sometimes, like a robot. But just tune into that rhythm and frequency of our true nature. I believe that putting that into practice on a weekly basis can actually bring us back to our true nature. I believe we would be accessing more of our sixth sense, which is our intuition. And by the way, the shift in consciousness that is happening, we all know it's there. That is what we're going to be using more of. It's our sixth sense and our intuition. So it would behoove us to actually tune in more and use and trust our intuition. What a powerful way to live. Okay, so I'm running out of time, so I'm going to have to end. I'm sorry. So I'd like to lead us into a meditation to take us into that place that can help us tune into our own inner nature and to recognize that oneness and that connection with everything. So close your eyes, open your eyes, however you meditate, and just begin by taking some deep breaths. You know, when we breathe and when we are in the awareness of each breath, that it also shifts our consciousness. Just simply by being aware of that breath of life, you can shift your consciousness. And then you can also set an intention with each breath so that it becomes a rhythm. So as you breathe in, you can say to yourself inwardly, I'm breathing in calm, peaceful energy. And as I breathe out, I'm releasing tension, anxiety, any energy that I no longer need, anything that no longer serves me. And so breathe in that calm, peaceful energy and breathe out tension, anxiety, anything that no longer serves you. And you know, if that's all you did in your meditation, you would find yourself in that stillness, in that quiet space, just getting into that rhythm of breathing in calmness, breathing out tension, until you begin to feel your body relax, all the muscles in your body relax. From the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes. And even as thoughts come through your mind, because of course there is that monkey mind, all you have to do is just notice the thoughts, like they're just drifting by. Just notice them. You don't have to do anything about them right now. And so with each breath in, you allow yourself to relax even more. And you find that all the thoughts just slowly dissipate as you allow them to drift by. And I'm going to count from 5 to 1, and with each count, you can even go deeper still, drifting all the way from 5, all the way down to 4, all the way down to 3, all the way down to 2, and at 1, completely and deeply relaxed. And in that space, I want you to, if you can imagine or just sense it, or I want you to think of a nice gray color. Because to me, gray means that space of, it's neither black or white, it's non-duality, it's that space of nothingness, or at least what feels like nothingness. But it's the most powerful place that you can be in. Because your thoughts are not trying to make a decision of right or left or black or white or this or that. You just are in that space. And it is in that neutral space where all of your power comes from, where you can connect with your deepest self, where you can even come to know your life purpose, where you can make decisions and changes and choices about your life's journey. It's in that space that feels like nothingness. That no space, no mind, no time. So I'm going to have to bring you back from that space in just a moment. But as you tapped into something within yourself, I want you to bring that energy with you, that sense of calmness and peacefulness. And just remember, you can go to this place anytime you choose. You could even use that count, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or just get into that rhythm of breathing in calmness and breathing out tension, just letting go. But as you allow your awareness to slowly come back now, from 1 to 2, and at 3, still feeling that calmness and peacefulness, all the way up now to 2. And bringing your awareness all the way up to 3 and 4, and at 5, feeling refreshed, relaxed, and wide awake, and ready to face your day with no time constraints. As a matter of fact, maybe spend the rest of today not looking at your clocks or your phones or however you get the time. Just perhaps spend the rest of this day just being. Thank you so much, and namaste.